You are in the right place if you love the outdoors and covering hidden treasures and solving history's mysteries. And these LiDAR maps are available online. The Bare Earth LiDAR strips away all the trees, which is helpful in finding interesting sites to check out. This day, my objective was to hike up to this area to see what it looks like. And of course, the metal detector is coming along. And on the way up, I decided to take a video of how this little tiny crater-looking thing actually looks. And here's another small crater that is below the top of the ridge. So, yeah, that LiDAR map really shows all the little indentations in the earth. Take a look at all this busted up quartz. There's certainly evidence of mining activity around. Oh, I'm getting excited. Signs of human activity. An old can dump. And this is on the slope just below our targeted destination at the top of the ridge. I can't wait to see what it looks like up there. Okay, we're up near the top of the ridge. Let's see what this area on the LiDAR map actually looks like. Well, what looks like a gouge on the map is actually a gouge in the earth. Maybe dug by hand or by a backhoe. It's hard to tell at this point. It's time to find some more clues as to what they were doing and a date range as to when they were doing it. And the first find is a major clue as to what they were doing as I'm checking out this clearing near the top of the ridge. It's an old drilling rod used in hard rock gold mining. During the gold rush, the miners did placer mining. Picture creeks, sluice boxes, gold pans, that sort of thing. Later on in the late 19th century Industrial Revolution, a lot of drilling equipment was invented that allowed hard rock mining that just wasn't economical to do in the 1850s with just human labor and pickaxes. The invention of dynamite in the late 1860s was also a big factor in the economics of hard rock mining. My grandfather was a powder man in the mines, and he had a lot of riveting stories of close calls. It was very dangerous work, and it's amazing he lived into his 90s. By the way, these drilling rods can get pretty long. I'd laid one across the tailgate of my truck that I found years ago, and it's well over 8 feet. Let's see what else is laying around on or near the surface. It kind of gives you a better feel for what was going on back then. A lot of what I find is staying right where it is, including the saw blade. However, I love finding old steel tools such as axe heads, pickaxes, and today this old claw hammer. That's coming home with me, and I'll recondition it. Just another offshoot of the hobby. All that remains of this barrel are the metal support rings. Could have held flour, tools, gunpowder, whiskey, really just about anything, and we'll never know. Oh man, look at this exciting assortment of mostly rusty relics that's going to help us determine a date range of when these gold miners were up here. Let's start with this can lid. Remember this metal pitcher? Well, chances are Golden Gate coffee was poured out of it early in the workday. Never heard of Golden Gate coffee? Well, I'm sure you've heard of its owner, Folgers. And they're drinking coffee, and I'm not sure what they were eating, but there were a fair number of sardine cans laying around. And speaking of cans, there were tobacco tins all over the place. Apparently, Prince Albert was a popular choice, and it was introduced by R.J. Reynolds in 1907. I have to mention the silly prank call that was real popular in the 1930s. Kind of goes like this. The prankster calls the store and asks, "Do you have Prince Albert in a can?" And if the clerk says yes, the caller says, "Well, let him out." Simpler times for sure. I can guarantee that there were no presidential visits to the site, but suspender buckles like this one that I've found are pretty common. And the patent date is on the back. There are many, many patents on suspender buttons that go back to the 1850s. You can also make out the word Shirley etched on the back. This is not the manufacturer, but rather the location where it was made, Shirley, Massachusetts. As much as a suspender buckle was writing character with a work camp, this next find was just the opposite. Not sure what I just dug up here, but what's interesting is it's got some writing on it. Not sure what it says. Kind of looks like silver. Interesting. Upon closer inspection, this is actually silver-plated brass. It kind of looks like an umbrella slide, but I never found one that was monogrammed before. And what in the world would a fancy parasol or umbrella be doing at a gold camp? And I'm having a hard time figuring out what that etching is. Edward, maybe? I researched a bit and found something similar on the internet. You can clearly see a quotation mark and the word new and the beginning of an E. So, okay, with that information, let's take another look at the one we found. Okay, so now we know this says New Era, an appropriate name for being introduced in 1899 as people were anticipating the start of the year 1900 and the beginning of the 20th century. And I'm glad this is solved. You look at something for a long time and you start to see things. I saw on the top of the E, I thought I was seeing a stray Y up there, but no, it's just a fancy E. Also, I thought the quotation mark was a number, like a 71 or a 91. Well, like I said, you start to see things. Fancy umbrellas and parasols were quite the fashion statement even late into the Victorian era. Look at the handle of a New Era umbrella, and you can see it was a high-quality product, even to the point of using engraved silver-plated brass on the slide mechanism. However, the mystery remains as to how our little piece of history ended up at a gold camp. Now, this is a drawing of Arthur Savage, an explorer, businessman, and inventor. He actually invented the radial tire, and in 1895, the first hammerless lever-action rifle. He started a company called Savage Repeating Arms in 1894, began marketing his Savage Model 1895 lever-action rifle the next year, and in 1897, changed the name of his company to just Savage Arms. No, I didn't find a Savage rifle. That would have been really nice, but I did find 3 shell casings that Union metallic cartridge manufactured under contract with Savage Repeating Arms. These are pretty rare since this company only had that name for a few years. After the name change, UMC changed the head stamp to read SAV in lieu of SRA. I found just one of these. This probably stayed the same until 1912 when UMC merged with Remington and the head stamp transitioned to UMC-REM. Like I mentioned, I only found one, but it's kind of a rare one, and you'll see why next. What makes it interesting is that it's unfired. Usually we find empty brass shell casings, so this one's unique. It might be a misfire versus a drop, but in any event, it's pretty cool. Back to that short opening clip from the early 60s show, The Rifleman. The rifle shown in the clip was a lever-action Winchester 92. So it was introduced in 1892. That's curious since the show was set in the 1880s. Also, Chuck Connors fired off 12 shots in 6 seconds, which is virtually impossible, especially since the rifle only holds 10 rounds. Hollywood made a few tweaks to the rifle, and he was shooting blanks, so don't try this at home. The model, introduced by Savage in 1899, now simply called the Model 99, was highly popular with hunters and is considered one of the most iconic rifles in American history. With improvements along the way, over 1 million of these rifles have been sold. I can't tell you how many times I get asked, yeah, but what is it worth? Well, that's not the point, but just empty boxes of what these cartridges came in are very collectible and sometimes trade for over $100. To wrap things up, I'm going below the ridge to see what this gouge is all about and hopefully find the actual mine. And here's the gouge on the side of the hill. It was probably used to divert water. And a little further below this gouge, I found the opening to the actual mine where all this activity happened. And based on what we found, I think this was worked from the late 1800s and extended into the early 1900s for as long as 10 to 20 years. If you have any thoughts about anything in this video, please comment. And I do read each one. And thank you for watching.